Hi, welcome back to Therapy Designs. If you're new to this channel, my name is Kelly, and this channel is all about teaching you how to create print-on-demand designs that sell. And if you stay tuned till the end of the video, I have another 5 bonus niches for you. So in today's video, I want to show you how you can create this style of design. This is my design. This one says cruising and boozing, but I'm going to show you guys how you can get that overall appearance, including the cutout sunglasses. So if you're interested in this, please stick around. So here I am on Canva's homepage. We will be making a t-shirt design today. I am going to go with something that's a little bit more summer or vacation style. We'll do a cruise design. So I'm starting at the homepage. I'm going to go to the right-hand side of the page. At the top here, you'll see something that says custom size. We can go ahead and click on that. I do use 4500 by 5400 pixels for my t-shirt design. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, 4500 by 5400 pixels. This is the standard t-shirt size, and it will ensure that when it prints, it will print at above a 300 dpi. Now, I do like to optimize my designs for the darker colors because they do tend to sell best. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a background color, and I either do a black or a really dark gray. Let's just go ahead and go with black. Now in today's design, I'm going to be doing pretty classic style design with some text and some sunglasses. It is going to say cruising and boozing, and we're going to do some nice bright summer colors here. Now, usually I would go ahead and start with some text, but for this one, I do want to do some special sunglasses, some custom sunglasses. So I'm just going to start with that. So I'm going to go to the left-hand side where we got all these tabs, and I'm going to go up to where it says elements. And then from here, we're just going to go ahead and do a search. So we are going to search for sunglasses. And we'll go ahead and search graphics. And it actually doesn't matter if it's graphics or if it's, photos. But I'm just looking for a shape, because what we're going to do is we're going to do this as a frame, and I'm going to do a little cutout in it. So find the shape of sunglasses you like. And there is no right or wrong. It can be any shape you want. So here's this one. I can't really see it. Let me change my background color to more of a dark gray. So that is one potential shape right there. And again, you can go through. So if you like that shape, you can do that shape. If you like, something more like this, you could do something a little bit more that shaped. So it really doesn't matter. Just kind of pick the shape of sunglasses you want. I wouldn't do anything with this glow here. So that is going to kind of mess us up if we're doing a mask on that. So just don't pick anything with a glow. But beyond that, any shapes that you like. Here's another good shape here. I kind of like this shape maybe a little bit better than this shape, so this one might be a good one. So any of these that you like, and obviously there's tons and tons of shape. There's the more square ones, the more kind of ovally ones. This is more of that aviator style. There's more of the wraparound style. So you can do any type of sunglasses you want. I just kind of liked this aviator style. It was a good shape. You also want to make sure that it is nice and solid. So let me just change this background color really quick here to something bright. I want to make sure it's not showing through at all. Good. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't get any weird background colors showing through the glasses. So they do look to be pretty solid. So that'll work just fine. I don't know why it's not changing my background color. There it is. Okay. So I think I'm just going to go with these. So these are going to be my sunglasses. And tell you what, I'm going to make the background color something white or maybe bright yellow. Something like that, just because I want to make sure that it's going to crop out perfectly. Now what I'm thinking is, let's go ahead and put some palm trees inside these sunglasses. So let's go ahead and search for palm trees and see what we get. Again, I'm looking just for kind of the shapes. And so something super easy. I can do, literally something like this. I'm going to make it the same color as the background here so that we can see what it'll look like as sort of a cutout in the glasses. So if I was to do something like this, maybe even make it a little bit bigger. Now we can kind of see how it's going to give sort of that little cutout look. And I can do it again here. I can pick another palm tree. Doesn't really matter which one you pick, but I am going to go for just sort of that cool cutout look. So something like that. I like the way that looks. And so my plan here would be to go ahead and do a background remover so we get this cutout literally cut out of the sunglasses. So to do that, I'm just going to quickly title this sunglasses. And then we'll go ahead and we're going to share, download. You just want it exactly as is. So no transparent background, nothing, just PNG exactly as is. We're going to download it with that yellow background because I'm going to do a background remover, hopefully get rid of all that yellow. So let's see what this comes up with. Perfect. So now what you're going to do is you're going to go over to your uploads. We're going to hit upload image, and we can go ahead and click on the sunglasses and hit open. That will upload them here. I'm going to go ahead and just hit add page really quick, and we'll bring those sunglasses over. Now to make sure I can see the background, I'm going to go ahead and change my background back to like a nice dark gray, something like that. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and try our background remover and see if this works. So go ahead, hit background remover, cross your fingers. Most of the time it doesn't have an issue, but if it does, we can troubleshoot. Okay, and so I do see a little bit of an issue with this one. So let's see what happened here. Almost perfect, but for whatever reason, it didn't get rid of that little bit of yellow there. And I'm wondering if it's because the sunglasses were a little bit lighter in that area. So no problem. My thought is the problem is with the sunglasses not being solid. So if you get a pair of sunglasses that isn't quite solid like this one, it's got sort of those light areas, we can make it solid by going to edit, going down to duotone, picking any color we want, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to change both of these shades to black. So now what we have is solid black sunglasses, and we'll go ahead and try this again then. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit sunglasses, and we'll take 2, and this ought to fix that problem. So let's go ahead and download that. Again, we're just downloading it as is. Right now I've got 2 pages, so we'll go ahead and just pick the current page, which is page 1. And let's go ahead and download that, and we'll try the same thing again. Okay, so we'll go back over to uploads, and we'll upload the new image. Okay, so now I've got my new image here, and this one is solid black sunglasses, so it doesn't have any of that shading. Let's try it again, background remover. It ought to work perfectly this time. If not, no worries, but there we go. That looks pretty good. So that time it did in fact work. All right, yay, see? So there's always troubleshooting options. I know sometimes the background remover doesn't work perfectly for everybody, and I've definitely gotten messages from you guys where you've been frustrated where it didn't quite work. There are certain troubleshooting things that you can do. You really want the 2 colors to be very contrasty, if at all possible. Make sure that they're just 2 solid colors. So make sure the image you want to save is just one solid color, like solid black, and then the other one is a big contrast, so either black and white, or in this case, black and bright yellow. It usually works pretty well. You also want to make sure that the background is a huge part of your design. So when we want the background to be the background, sometimes you have to resize the design. So if I was to group this together, for example, let's say it was taking up a huge amount of my page. This isn't a great example, but if it was taking up a huge amount of my page to the point where maybe it couldn't tell what was the background and what was the actual image, let's say it was something like that, you might try taking your whole design and shrinking it down so that it's a little bit smaller, so it makes it really clear what this big background area is. And then of course you can always blow it up once you do the background remover. So there are just different troubleshooting ways around that. Most of the time it'll work pretty well though. So here is my cut out image of the sunglasses. So that is the graphic I'm going to start with. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add some text, and I'm going to go ahead and put on a clipping mask. So let's go ahead, I'm going to crop this down, and we're going to add our text in here. So I'm going to hit T on my keyboard. That will pull up a text box. And the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and type cruising, and I'm going to do that in all caps. So I'm going to go ahead and put cruising up here. Ta-da! Here we go. Oops, cruising. Oops, if I spell it right. Cruising. There we go. I think I got that. And then we're going to hit T again, another text box. And I'm going to go with the and sign. And I'm thinking I'm going to put the and sign kind of right here. And then one more text box. And this one's going to say boozing. I'm going to keep that lowercase. and it's going to kind of come down here. So that's going to be the basic gist of the design. Now we're going to pick some fonts. So for this one, I want something a little bit more narrow because I want it to be able to make it nice and big. If it's too wide, it's going to be really small. So I do need it to be something a little bit more narrow, but still bold. And I'm thinking I'm going to do more of an outline style text, so maybe not solid. So I did look for a while at some of the different fonts, and the font I ended up coming up with was one called Impact. And so it was this one right here. It was a little bit more narrow, but still very bold, which means that I can blow it up and make it really big across the top. And so that's the one that I went with. If you're not sure, you can spend your time looking through fonts. There's tons of fonts, so you can do searches up here. So I could have just done a search for narrow fonts, for bold fonts, for tall fonts. So you can do, all sorts of different searches for script fonts, for display fonts. So that's an easier way to filter through if you're searching. Next, I had my little and symbol. And so for my and symbol, again, I searched for a while. I wanted something simple and bold, and I ended up going with one pretty simple. It was League Gothic. League Gothic. So that is the one I went with there. Oh, no, League Spartan. Sorry, League Spartan. Big difference. And so I liked that one. And I'm going to make sure it's centered in the design. Make sure that's centered. And then lastly, I had boozing. This one I did want to go with a little bit more script, a little bit more fun, but it still needed to be bold. So I was looking for a kind of bold, fun script here. And I did, again, search for a while. I searched through script fonts and bold fonts, display fonts, and I came up with Amazon, which is this one here. And I really liked that font. And I thought maybe we'll put it at a little bit of an angle, nothing too steep. That's about a 3-degree angle here. And I can kind of center that design there. And so I liked the way that that looked overall. And I thought I'm going to take this cruising just to make it a little bit different. I went to effects and we went ahead and did hollow. And so I got that outline there. And then I can change just how thick I want that to be. So I can make it really thick. That's too thick. I can make it really thin. That's too thin. So I ended up going with something pretty thick here. Thinking that looks pretty good. So that's sitting at a 42 right there. I want it to be easy to read, but I don't want it to be, so thick that I'm losing, the definition between the words. So that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use this now as a frame. And I'm thinking what we'll do is we'll put a gradient over it, some nice bright gradient. So I'm going to go ahead and put cruising, and I'm going to put frame. And so for my frame here, I'm going to go to share. We'll do a download. It's a PNG. I want it to be a transparent background. And we're going to go with the page that we're on, which is page 2. And we're going to hit download. And so that is going to download this just as a frame. Now we're going to do a mask. And so, like I said, I'm thinking just sort of a bright gradient mask. So I can go back over to the left-hand side and go up to the tab that says Elements again. And this time I can search for, let's say, bright gradient. And I was going more with like orange-yellow gradient, which is what I did the search for. So bright orange-yellow gradient. And so lots of good gradients came up under graphics. And of course, you can search under photos too if there's any photo gradients there. So anything that looks like a nice bright gradient, I'm hoping that it'll go sort of from a darker to a lighter color. Something like this one looked pretty good. I like that. You can really pick anything you want. You can pick any colors you want. So it doesn't have to be, these colors specifically. I'm looking for something a little bit more smooth than that. I mean, what I've got here is just fine and dandy, so I might end up just going with that one. But you can just sort of search through and see the different gradients that they have. Again, I'm searching for something that's nice and bright colored. And another one there that's a little bit more orangey. The circle one, it can be any size, any shape. So I could do the circle one and just make it a lot bigger. So it's pretty similar-ish to this one here, actually. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to use this rectangle one. And what I'm going to do is let's rotate it vertically. I want to make sure it's at the top. So I'm just going to hit Control in my right bracket to make sure it's on top of everything. Then what I'm thinking is we'll go ahead, cover up the whole design. This one does look a little bit grainy. That's okay. We can kind of change what we do here. Now go ahead, and to make sure you've got it where you want it, you can go to this little checkered box up here. It's going to say transparency. If I click that and I bring the transparency down a little bit, maybe not that much, but I just want to be able to see underneath so that I can line it up, so I can make sure that some of this is getting that bright yellow, but some of it is getting more of that orange color. Make sure it's covering everything up pretty good. And when I have it where I want it, I'll lose the transparency. And now what I can do is I can take this gradient and I can go up to edit. I can go to adjust, and I can use some of my photo features on it. So some of the things I was hoping to do, maybe pop the contrast a smidge, maybe make it a little bit more kind of vibrant and saturated. And then I can also smooth it out. So right now it's really grainy, right? But if I was to take that sharpness and kind of bring it down, I can kind of lose that graininess a little bit so that it gets a little bit smoother there. And so that looks a little bit better. It's a little bit more of a smooth gradient. It's a little bit kind of brighter and more contrasty. So I did like the way that that looked. So something there. So now what I can do is title this Cruising. Let's call this Mask. Pretty easy. And now we'll go back up to share. We will download it. It does not need to be a transparent background for this because it's just the mask. So what we're going to do is just do current page, which is page 2 again, and we will download the mask. And then from here, what I'm going to do is jump over to Photopea. If you haven't watched any of my videos before, I use Photopea a lot for clipping masks. It is totally free. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to do anything. It's super fast and easy to use. And it is the quickest, easiest way that I know how to do clipping masks. And of course, there's lots of ways to accomplish anything you want. So you don't necessarily have to do it the way that I show. I'm just trying to show the way that I do it. And the way I do it is, again, the way that I find to be the fastest, easiest, and of course, freest way to do it. So I am on Photopea. I just went photopea.com in my browser. It comes up with a page that looks like this. Again, you don't have to log in, create an account, nothing. You can hit open from your computer. That will pull up your downloads. And then from there, you're just going to go ahead and select your frame and hit open. And give it a second, and it's going to pull up a page, and it's going to open your frame up for you. So here it is. So here's my frame right here, and it'll show the layer here to the side. Next thing we're going to do is go up to the top left-hand side of the page where it says File. You'll click that. 3 spaces down, you're going to want the one that says Open and Place. If you click that, it's going to open up your downloads again. And then from here, we can go ahead and hit Cruising Mask and hit Open. And you give it a second, and it should put that mask right on top of your frame. And so now it should look like this. So at this point, you should only see your mask because the frame is underneath. If you come over to the side where you see the layers, you should see your cruising mask and then your background layer. That would be your frame. And the mask should be the one that's highlighted. Assuming that this is how it looks, and this should be automatic, we can go up to the top side, top of the page, and go over to the right just a little bit where it says layer. You click that, and then about halfway down, it will say clipping mask. You can click that, and it should automatically put on the clipping mask. And so that is what it should look like right there. And then from here, all we have to do is export it. So we can go again, File. Halfway down, it's going to say Export As. You'll go over to PNG, click that. It'll take a second, but it'll pull up a little box for you. Here's your little box, and you can retitle it here. So now I can do like Cruising Gradient. If I want to retitle it, doesn't matter. It's still a PNG. It's still 4500 by 5400 pixels. Nothing else has changed. I just hit save, and that is it. That is all I needed Photopea for, and it should have been that fast, that easy, that free. And then from there, we can just jump right back over to Canva. So super easy there. And I can go ahead, add another page, and let's go ahead and upload what we just made. So I can go to the left-hand side where it says Uploads, click that, go to Upload Files, give it a sec, and I should be able to upload my gradient cruising design. So here it is. And I'll go ahead and change my background color here to black so that you can see it nice and poppy. Crop that down, blow it up. And so there you go. That is the design that you should end up with. So that is a nice, simple, big, bright summer design. And again, you can do this any way that you like, but it definitely gives a little bit of a more unique look. We got our custom sunglasses here with the cutouts and our nice bright gradient design. And so again, super fun, easy, quick design, and lots of different ways that you can go about designing this. You didn't have to bring it back to Canva, by the way. What you had after you left Photopea would be perfectly fine to go ahead and then put up on anything you want. I'll bring it back to Canva sometimes, one, so that I can have it saved for mockups, and two, because if I do want to do anything to it, like do any photo effects on it, I can. So if I wanted to go to filters, let's say, and start looking at the different filters, I could do that. So I could do something like that and make it a little bit more yellowy, make it a little bit more orangey, really make it bright and stark like that. So lots of different ways that I could play with it if I wanted to. If I wanted to change some of those colors around like that, I could. And so just different ways that you could play with it if you wanted to once it's back in Canva. You don't have to, it's fine the way it is, but I just wanted to give you guys that option. And so that's really all you need to know. If you like it the way it is, you don't have to do anything. If you make some changes to it, then just go ahead and download it. So again, you'd go to share and you'd go download PNG, transparent background, pick the page that you're on, which is page 3, and then it is ready to go. If you have any questions about this, drop it in the comments section below. I try to get back to everybody as quickly as I can. I hope you guys are doing really good with your designs and your sales. I hope your portfolio is continuing to expand and you're continuing to learn. And again, because you were so patient and waited until the end of the video, I do have another 5 bonus niches for you. So without any more waiting, these are going to be your 5 bonus niches. Now I decided to go with some Juneteenth niches, as Juneteenth is again about 6 weeks away. So now's when you're going to want to put some of those up. A lot of the Juneteenth niches can kind of combine with Black History Month as well. So not all of them are super specific to Juneteenth, but some of them are. So the first one, and I saw a lot of this when I searched for Juneteenth designs, was equality is greater than division. Now this is a super simple design that can be used for anything. So you can do it as Juneteenth, but you can also use it and market it any way that you want. They used Juneteenth colors in this design, which is sort of that red, green, and yellow, but you can, again, you can really use the equality is greater than division for anything. And it doesn't have to be a t-shirt. Again, you can put that on just about any product you want. And so that's a nice, good, simple one. Next is just Juneteenth, 1865. I've seen just a lot of those different ways that they can design for that, just using simple Juneteenth, 1865. Number 3, and I like this one a lot too, and I've seen this used for both Black History Month and other things. And it says, they whispered to her, you can't withstand the storm. She whispered back, I am the storm. And so I really like that one. And I've seen that on just tons of different styles of design. Number 4, breaking every chain since 1865. Again, I've seen a lot of that one for Juneteenth. And then number 5, Black women are dope. And of course, that could sell year round, right? So that doesn't just have to be for Juneteenth. It could be for Black History Month, or that could just be a good evergreen design. So another big t-shirt holiday. So if you haven't gotten into that, it's a good thing to get started on. And again, you've got about 6 weeks, so you want to get those up right away. If it doesn't sell this year, no worries. It could still sell next year or the year after that or the year after that. So don't worry about that. Again, if you have any questions, drop it in the comment section below. I try to get back to everybody as quickly as I can. Hope your sales are doing good, and I do hope to see you guys again. That's it for today's video. If you found that useful and would like to see more videos with helpful tips and tricks, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the weekly videos. As always, keep growing and stay creative, and we'll see you next time.